Welcome to Wrestling Goons Radio. We have a full panel today to bring you part two of our series, our 7-part series that we're getting over in pro wrestling. Today we will be discussing promos and how important they are in developing a character and developing storylines. My full panel today consists of Drew Nickens. What's going on, Drew?
Not much, man. How you doing?
I'm good, man. Glad to be here. Damien, what's happening with you, brother?
How everybody doing today?
Yeah, man, we're making it. We're making it. Dan Tanner, how are you, my friend?
Feeling good, feeling good.
That's what's going on. And last but not least, Mark Pitts. What's going on, Mark?
Nothing much. Getting ready to do this.
That's what we're doing. All right. Promos, guys. I think, and now at our age, me and where we are, we respect promos more than probably any other element as far as liking a character. It's probably as important today than it was back in the old days. In the territory days, promos were strictly used to sell events. They were made to get people in the building because television wasn't that important. So the revenue came from getting tickets in the door. And they would pretty much talk about where the event was going to be, what date it was going to be, who they were fighting and why they were fighting, and they kept it at about a minute and a half to 2 minutes. Nowadays, you can see a promo go 5 to 10 minutes for a really good person. And they are also, unfortunately, people that are not really good. I will go ahead and start with Drew. Drew, in your opinion, do you think that promos yesterday versus today, how important would it be in your mind? And name some people back in the old days that really caught your attention growing up.
Okay, so old day promos was strictly to sell the match, sell what they're doing. You got a sense of the character, but it wasn't trying to sell the whole package. It was trying to sell who you going against, why you gonna beat them, and why you got an issue. And it was straight up. And my favorites back in the day, I have 3 favorites: Eddie Guerrero, Bobby Heenan, and Ric Flair. Because those 3 always knew what to do to either get you to hate them, like them, and go and watch the event. Because you either wanted to see them win, or you wanted to see them get their ass whooped. And that's what the old time promos were about to me.
Man, that's a good call on Bobby Heenan, it really is. Damien, were you a fan, back when you were younger, what guys in the territory days really got your attention promo-wise?
Promo-wise, it was always great to hear Bobby Heenan. Like Drew said, Bobby Heenan was great. But who really got me, I could say, between 85 and 90, Ric Flair, Dusty, Macho Man. Cream of the Crop is one of my favorites. Macho Man sold a lot with his promos, especially when he was champion, going against Hogan. It's one of my favorite times. So, wise those 3 come out the most.
Yeah, that's a pretty good call. Yeah, go ahead.
Flair, J.J. Dillon, Dusty. It was a great time back then. And Magnum. It was a great time.
Yeah, I was about to say, man, we can't, I was going to mention him as an honorable mention. Magnum TA for his short run back in the day. He really made an impact. Drew, was there something you wanted to add?
No.
Okay, Dan, territory days. Who really made an impact on you growing up as a wrestling fan?
Oh man, it's kind of hard to say anybody without mentioning Ric Flair, of course. Of course, Dusty, Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan may not be one of the most popular guys now, though, but back then, when Hulk Hogan speak, regardless of if you understood what he was saying or not, you believed him. He had the excitement. I'm gonna go a step further in saying that I enjoyed the Road Warriors, or LOD, back in the day, because they were some crazy dudes and you knew they meant business in some sort of way back then. two, I think Harley Race as well.
That's a good call, Harley Race. Mark, what about you, man? You're about my age, a little bit younger than me. Was there anybody that really stood out when you were really younger that got your attention?
Superstar Billy Graham, Buddy Rogers, and Jimmy Hart. On top of the names that have already been mentioned,
Right.
kind of like the Flairs and the Rhodes and all that.
I'm gonna go and give a couple of honorable mentions here. First off, I'm shocked that nobody mentioned Arn Anderson, so I will. Arn Anderson created the Four Horsemen gimmick with promos, and he was pretty much the guy, other than Ric Flair, that carried it. We gave Magnum a shout out, but we didn't give Tully Blanchard one. Tully was a man that was just on the same level as the other two. He was amazing. My thoughts as far as great promos, yeah, we all said Ric Flair. Come on. You can't not say Ric Flair. I didn't like Dusty Rhodes, but I guess that's kind of a taste for, if you like that kind of thing, then you like him, and that's okay. Guys, real quick, I want to run down the line before we move on to the modern era. Is there anybody, the first name that pops in your head, that if you were little and you heard them talking, you just wanted to turn the channel or leave the room? I'll go ahead and just say for me, it was Hulk Hogan. And it was that way when I was 5, and it'll be that way when I'm 95. So, that's me getting it out of the way. Mark, I will start with you first this time. Somebody that makes you want to turn the channel.
I really don't have anyone specifically. I guess probably Iron Sheik, just because, he was hilarious, but his voice just makes me, cringe, really.
I would rather hear him do a shoot interview than a promo, because his shoot interviews are...
Yeah, his shoots interviews are hilarious. He is hilarious, but I just really couldn't understand half of what he said.
Yeah, I'm with
and
you.
The other half just made me, irritated.
Yeah, I'm with you. I never really was a big sheep guy. Drew, somebody that made me turn the channel.
We forgot one on great promos that was undersold. Rick the Model Martel. That was someone that
Yes.
I forgot about, but he was great for what he had to work with. I liked, but who I had to switch, and I think everybody can agree, X-Pac.
Wow, really?
If he ever had to talk, even when he was 1, 2, 3 Kid, I hated hearing him. He was cringeworthy to me. I hated X-Pac.
That's interesting.
He was the worst. I just can't.
Any other of my other goons out here agree with Drew? Did they hate X-Pac?
Yeah, I hate X.
Wow. Okay. Dan, all right, Dan, well, how about you? Was X-Pac your guy, or do you want to add somebody else?
Terry Taylor.
Terry Taylor made you turn the channel. Now, was it because of the Red Rooster, or did you hate him before that?
Both.
Wow, okay. So,
But we forgot Ted DiBiase.
See, Ted DiBiase was a great talker to me. He was awesome. For my money, I would take DiBiase. Dan, did you have anybody?
Of course I did. It was Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
Yeah, I knew this was coming. Yeah.
He was just horrible back then.
For once, I actually had to agree with Dan. Out of all the things that Ricky did, promos were not really his strong point. So, but he didn't have to sell it because his wrestling sold it. So I'll leave it at that.
I wasn't buying it. Okay.
Oh my God! Here we go. Okay. So we're gonna transition into the new era now. I guess around '97. Vince McMahon cut the epic promo where he said that we're tired of insulting your intelligence, and they pulled the curtain back. And I think ever since then, the direction of promos has changed, because it's not really about selling the event now as much as it is selling the current storyline or the current feud. And there's got to be attitude in a good promo for me. There's got to be passion. You got to feel what you're saying. Because as dedicated wrestling fans like we are, we can all look at it and tell when you're just reading a teleprompter or you're really into your character. I'll start with Damien. and I will ask you, once the new transition change happened, what guys really stood out to you good on the mic? Now, we could all say The Rock and Austin, and that would be perfect, and we all know it would be. So let's try not to go with the obvious top guys, and let's see if we can really pick some good guys on the stick here. And I'll start with Damien.
Wow, this is hard without the top guys. Well, let me see. Without the top guys. Angle.
Kurt Angle was very underrated. That's a very good start. Now, what was some good Angle moments that stood out for you?
Best Angle moment where he fought Brock. That's the best Angle moment. The one before he fought Brock.
Oh, yeah. I think I remember that one. But yeah, Angle was always great on the mic. He really knew how to get a crowd on his side and against them both. And that's pretty much the element of what it takes in this era. You gotta be able to reach out and make a connection with them. Anybody else you want to throw into right now? We'll come back to you at the very end if you think of somebody else.
It's been a lousy 14 years.
Yes, it is.
Let me see. Great on the mic besides Heyman.
Yeah, you know what though? Yeah, Heyman, we give Heyman credit every week, so we sing his praises enough. I want to say Edge. How about Edge? We can go with Edge, because Edge is great as far as what he does, as far as being hated. Anybody want to throw in a name that in this new era?
I got one. Cody Rhodes.
Cody Rhodes. Now,
Someone who, you know what, in the last 3-4 years has dropped some gems. I mean, when he lost to Randy Orton, and he was in the back locker room and they had him interview, that was something special. That was one of the best promos I've heard in years from a wrestler. Him and Edge are the two, I think, most underrated in how they got people either on their side or to hate them
yeah,
with their characters.
I agree. They're very underrated.
Those two just have dropped gems in the last 10 years. There's no way you can walk around that. Those two are some of my favorites.
Mark, in the recent era, what guys have stood out in your mind that aren't the main guys?
Okay, just going back, someone that we didn't mention in the last one, Hot Rod, Roddy Piper.
Yeah.
How did we miss that? But would you consider Y2J to be one of those top guys?
Absolutely. Yeah, without a doubt.
I mean,
I don't mean like in that category. No. As far as that category, if your name isn't The Rock or Triple H, you're not excluded. I think everybody would put them 1 and 2. So that's your name.
Okay, so I mean, you got Y2J.
Yeah.
I think The Miz is very underrated
Very. That's
for being able to get heat. He's I don't know how well he is as far as space goes, but I enjoyed him and Morrison together. Obviously, you got Stephanie McMahon and Vince McMahon, the two McMahons. They can hold their own with anyone and on a mic. John Cena. John Cena is very, very good on a mic. He can completely control a crowd.
Oh, man. It makes me, no, I seen Drew, like, sick to his stomach because he's upset. But you know what, Drew? I'm gonna feel sick saying this, but I'm gonna have to agree with Mark that, John Cena does know how to control an audience. And I seen you itching at the bite here to come back with a counterpoint. So I'm gonna hand the floor to you and let you tell us why we are wrong, sir.
And I'm gonna keep it short and simple. But the reason why I don't think that John Cena can handle a crowd is when there isn't kids or women in a crowd. When it's a smart mark dominated crowd, you can see he gets mixed up. But I think he's learned over the years. I mean, perfect example. Anything, the feud leading up to ECW, One Night Stand versus RVD, you could just tell, I don't know, he I'm a Cena hater, and there's bias there, but to me, it's just because of the audience that he appeals to. There's always he can't control the other audience, and when they're in a small market town like Philly or Chicago or New York or those type of crowds, you don't hear him control as much as it is in a Memphis or an Atlanta crowd.
I'll go to Dan 1 second, but I will say this while we're talking about Cena. Watching the development of Roman Reigns has made me respect Cena a lot more, and here is why. Because Roman doesn't know how to deal with a crowd that isn't on his side. He's getting better at it sometimes, but Cena can take a crowd that totally hates him and stick to his face promo and somehow make it believable. Roman Reigns can't do that yet. If he can, then the future is endless for him. But until he learns to do that, he's in trouble. Dan, in this era for you, in this modern era, who really sticks out in your mind?
Okay, without, saying Y2J, because I was going to throw him out there, it's pretty tough. I guess I could say either CM Punk or Bray Wyatt. And yeah, that's kind of shocking for me to say, saying I've been gripping Bray Wyatt a bit. But his promos are great, and it just tells an incredible, bizarre story.
I agree. Yeah, you're right. I'm really shocked that you would say that because I can go all the way back to February of last year during the Daniel Bryan feud. I believe on the very first episode of Wrestling News Radio, you ripped Bray Wyatt. So that's pretty shocking to hear and give him credit there. Damien, we're gonna go now. Just if you were combining the eras, okay? And you don't gotta go in any specific order, but we already named who was really your most influential. Top 5 best guys in your career.
Paul Heyman. Dwayne Johnson.
The Rock.
Stone Cold. Ric Flair.
4.
Dusty Rhodes.
That is a pretty solid top 5. Anybody gonna be different than his top 5? Drew Nickens.
Alright. Kurt Angle, Eddie Guerrero, Paul Heyman, Bobby Heenan, Vince McMahon himself.
Wow. Good call. Dan Tanner.
Oh, yes. Man. Top 5, I gotta go with Ric Flair. Hulk Hogan, I'm sorry. Gotta go with him. Stone Cold, The Rock, and I have to go with Y2J.
Alright. And Mark Pitts. Top 5.
Paul Heyman. Can I just put the McMahons in there as Vince and Stephanie?
Yeah, that could be the
think
McMahon
family.
Yeah,
There we go.
Shane in there too.
Yeah, I'll put Shane in there. Shane was pretty good on a mic.
Shane was great.
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Okay.
Hot Rod Rowdy Piper.
Good call.
And CM Punk.
Alright, so that leaves me. Mine is going to be pretty much similar to what Damien's was. Paul Heyman is always going to be one in everybody's mind and heart. Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, Ric Flair, and that leaves one more, and I'm going to throw y'all a curveball. James E. Cornette is going to be my number 5. Jimmy Cornette. He is gold on a microphone, and I'm getting the thumbs up approval, I'm sure. So I'm going to go on that. Alright, yeah, there we go. We are all Cornette guys. And you know what? We don't need to let them know that because they hate each other. So we don't need to let Heyman and Cornette know that we like them both. Alright, Dan, do you want to name 5 people that you just can't hate? I mean, we know you love to rip Ricky Steamboat, so this is just another minute for you to do that if you want to.
Yeah, I'm just gonna do it anyway.
Okay, yeah. Go ahead.
Steamboat, Bret Hart. You know what? Since you mentioned Jim Cornette, I remember I couldn't stand hearing his voice back then. He was like the most annoying manager ever. However, I love his shoot interviews. So he's in there. I gotta go with the Big Show.
Yeah, good call. Anybody else?
Okay, me,
Yep.
Roman Reigns.
Is that it? Just Roman Reigns?
Roman Reigns, Jimmy Hart, most of the tag teams ever. Oh, Bret Hart.
Good.
Oh,
Yeah. Honorable
one
mention.
person that gets too much credit that I stand for this credit that he gets. Daniel non-talking Bryan.
I was waiting on that. I mean, do you just not like what he says? Do you not like everything about the character? Like, what is?
They give other people so much crap, but this guy can't talk.
Yeah, I don't really understand how he.
By a chant and his wrestling, he cannot talk.
I got you. Mark, quickly, 5 guys that you just despise.
Jack Swagger, Jeff Hardy, Vicky Guerrero, John Laurinaitis, and the Great Khali. Can we just stop having people that can't speak English trying to speak broken English?
Amen.
Like, just get him a manager and just leave it with it.
Yeah, I can't wait till we get on that final comment for that. That's going to be interesting. By the way, that's solid. Mine would pretty much be close to that. I'll let Drew go, and then I'll get mine.
Vince Russo, Lance Storm, and I know this is okay. I hate his promos, but I love his promos. Scott Steiner. Oh man, the genius of how bad it was. It was so bad, it was so good. I hate Kane. Kane's promos after when he used to use that microphone. Kane, and then who else? There was one other guy that I just hated. Oh, JBL. I'm gonna get a lot of shit for this, but
yes.
JBL.
You actually are going to get a lot of shit for that because he's one of my favorite people in the world, actually.
Jumping across the border? How do you not like that promo?
That promo was amazing. The one where
Zeb Coulter did it 10 times better.
No.
No, he chased those kids.
Jamie L chased Mexicans off the border, so no, he didn't. He ran legitimately Mexicans off the border, so
That was classic.
that was crazy. JBL took racism to a whole new level. Like, it was insane. My top 5 that I just can't stand, I'm so glad that 3 of us mentioned him, and I'm gonna make number 4. Bret the Shitman Hart, you will always be number 1 on my F.U. list. Hulk Hogan, I've always mentioned him too. Can't stand you. 3 more. Great Khali, that was an awesome call. Santino, number 4. And the guy returning in the IC Battle Royal, who I hope falls off the ladder and tears his quad and can't ever wrestle again, Sheamus. He will be my number 5. Anything else? Anybody want to? Final thoughts, Dan?
No, I just want to say that was awful right there.
It was. It might have been a little harsh, but you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't take it back. Not at all. So.
I mean, if he's on the same level with you as Ricky the Dragon Steamboat is for me.
I think. Probably a little higher. Like, I don't think people understand how much I don't like Sheamus. And when I say don't like, I don't mean like one day he can do something well and I'll applaud him and be like, you know what? You're really coming around. I mean, like, there's nothing he could ever do that would make me say, wow, Sheamus, you're pretty good. No, nothing. Nothing at all. So, that's how I feel about Sheamus.
I just want to say that just to make sure everyone follows us on Twitter, Dooms Radio. And shout out to Tatsumi Fujinami for making it into the WWE Hall of Fame, one of my favorite wrestlers in Japan.
There you go. And also, Dan would also like to clarify that my opinions and my horrible comments do not reflect everyone at Wrestling News Radio. So don't hold them down against us.
But you know what? I don't know why everyone loves Ricky Dragon Steamboat, so I'm trying to make sure you guys hate Ricky as much as I do.
Well, that's not gonna happen because, like, no, you're never gonna get people on your bandwagon for hating Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. So, I mean, you can try. As a matter of fact, we encourage all our listeners to join our debate. If you want to start hashtagging on Twitter, either you're for Ricky Steamboat or against Ricky Steamboat, and I really don't think Dan can get any followers with this against Ricky Steamboat movement. I just can't see it happening. So, challenge me, Dan. Challenge me. Mark, you got any final thoughts for us tonight before we sign out?
The art of using a manager to, and I think that they did a great job with this with Rusev at first, showing that he couldn't really speak English, yada yada yada, and let Lana speak, and then he worked up his way to it. I wish that they had done that with the Great Khali. I know they had tried to with his brother or whatever it was, K-Fab, but just if you bring someone in from another country that can't speak English, don't try to make him cut a promo. That's just stupid. Keep him nice and quiet.
A prime example where they're messing up with that is Kenta. Like they let Hideo and just trying to cut kind of regular promo, and it usually doesn't work really well. So yeah, I'm with Mark. I feel like when we talk about the art of a promo, that's another thing that really stood out in the territory days compared to today. Is outside of Paul Heyman and Lana, you can't name another manager that's really important. Like you could with Zeb when he was there, but he hadn't been there in a while. Back in the day, everybody that was over had a manager. Everyone, because the manager got you over. He got you the extra heat. You can use the valet and use the dirty spots in matches. Like, none of that is part of the formula anymore, and it's really frustrating to me as a wrestling fan, because I feel like the manager is a very important and underutilized role in today. That's my final thought. I will go to Damien and let him wrap up, and then we'll go to Drew.
To piggyback on what Mark said about the manager, Alberto Del Rio, he did okay to me when he first came. But it was because of the cars, because of Ricardo. He never, ever connected to me on the mic. The Ricky the Dragon thing, and you're on your own. The Bret Hart thing, I would give it to you if I didn't hate Hogan so much.
No, well, I hate them both equally. Like, they're like 1A and 1B.
No.
And by the way,
we're just gonna have to do a podcast of the most hated rappers of all time.
Oh man, that'll be our next sideshow thing. Like when we get done with this 7th thing. I forgot to mention somebody else that's gonna be sacrilegious to a lot of people. Before we sign out, as my final thought. Rest in peace, because I hate talking about the dead in a bad way. But Ultimate Warrior, yeah, I never bought your promos or you as a wrestler. So sorry. Whatever. Drew, final thoughts.
Did you ever
No, I never. No,
Final.
you know what? I've read the transcripts, Mark, of promos from Ultimate Warrior, and I still couldn't tell you what they meant. Even looking at them, I'm like, I don't know where he was going with that. So, Drew.
For my final thought, shout out to the lower card wrestlers that tried their best to work with promos when they had the worst. And I'm talking about my boy. You know who I am the number one fan of, Heath Slater. But I'm also talking about 3 Count. I'm talking about The Cat. I'm talking about all these guys that had such a bad gimmick. Norman Smiley, Disco Inferno, such a bad gimmick, but they would make it work.
Spike Dudley.
To a point where you would care about their segments, and that's where I think we're losing a lot of the lower card in the WWE today. We don't care because we don't see a promo from them. We don't have anything invested in their character. So no one gives a shit about the Matadores or or primetime players or any of them because we don't have anything invested into them. And that's my final thought.
I agree.
Fandango did a great job at that. He bought completely into that character.
Yeah, but
Johnny Curtis did amazing.
they killed him though. Like they killed him. They killed him whenever
Switching
they
him to Mexican, yes, that was stupid.
Well, that ain't really what killed him. What killed him was whenever they realized that the crowd was fandangoing, they tried to shove it down our throats immediately. Like they put him in the main event the very next night, and from there they had no plan for him whatsoever. And I hate it because I love Fandango. I thought he was
The
excellent.
crowd would still be fandangoing if they could do it to the salsa style, though.
Yeah, exactly. Changing the music killed him. It was the only thing he had that got him over. I hate it. I'm with you on that. If anybody else doesn't have anything, I will, like Dan said, Twitter, we're going to get it up and active. We finally got the password last week, so we are on it now. And we will be adding posts at Goons Radio, Facebook at The Wrestling Goons, and YouTube is where we do all our editing and editing for now. I'm hoping in the next month that we have a new platform to work on that's more podcast related. But until then, we're going to keep slapping them out this way. For Damien and Dan and True and Mark and Anthony, we will see you on the flip side.